who I am? I am Boba Fett.
Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
What's going on, guys? Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well, and in this video we have some rather recent and breaking Star Wars news into the regards of Boba Fett. TEMUERA Morrison has recently just come forward and revealed a lot of things that is going wrong with Disney and with Lucasfilm that he's honestly quite upset about, and especially with us Star Wars fans being able to relate to him easily with that as well, unfortunately. That there being said, let's go ahead and hop right on into it. TEMUERA Morrison has recently just revealed major cutbacks that Disney Plus is suffering from, and also had revealed some original plans that The Mandalorian Season 3 failed to actually come with, and his own disappointments with his own show, The Book of Boba Fett, as well. Of course, as we also know, TEMUERA Morrison is such a Star Wars lover. He loves Star Wars. And so as we know, of course, when he made that return as Boba Fett in The Mandalorian Season 2, and then also had his own show, The Book of Boba Fett, he was more than excited to be back in the realm of Star Wars. But however, since then, it has kind of fallen off, and we're all kind of sitting here kind of like, where is Boba Fett? He was supposed to appear in The Mandalorian Season 3, apparently, according to TEMUERA Morrison. However, we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. I will also like to mention that this is still a little bit more of a developing story on that side, so we'll keep you guys updated as we're getting more information about this here. In this video, we are taking a read from the Direct's article. I'll have their article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well. As a read, Boba Fett actor TEMUERA Morrison recently revealed that Disney could start implementing cutbacks within the Star Wars universe, specifically regarding Disney Plus. It was recently revealed in the past by Disney CEO Bob Iger that they would look to reduce costs across the company, and brands like Star Wars and Marvel, their biggest franchise, were no exception in that statement. And so since then, 2 Star Wars movies were officially scrapped, and the Disney Plus series Willow was cancelled after just 1 season. These actions from Disney will also affect the actors working on the projects as well, of course, both on the big screen and on the streaming platform. And so recently speaking during a Q&A panel at the Supernova Comic-Con and Gaming Convention in Melbourne, Australia, The Book of Boba Fett's TEMUERA Morrison told fans that Disney is in the middle of making some changes within their Star Wars universe. The actor specifically used the word cutbacks when talking about that and what Disney is currently doing to Star Wars Disney Plus shows after being asked about his potential return in the Star Wars franchise, specifically within the Mandoverse, of course. And so these quote-unquote cutbacks could explain why TEMUERA Morrison did not show up in Season 3 of The Mandalorian as Boba Fett, because the actor also added that he was specifically told that the company was making a few changes, saying that's in full quote from TEMUERA Morrison speaking at that panel. I think that there is a few changes going on. We also come under the big umbrella known as Disney now too, so it's one of the last few conversations we had in LA. The conversation started like, oh look, we're having a few changes. We are having a few cutbacks, ending that quote right there. TEMUERA Morrison then even possibly teased that there may not be a bright future for him in the future in terms of playing Boba Fett again, unfortunately, which is such a disappointment to me. As such a big fan for Boba Fett, I loved The Book of Boba Fett, even though many people didn't really quite jive with it all that much. I really liked it. The actor TEMUERA Morrison did say that he'll have to wait and see what happens, though, saying that's in full quote. And when you hear that at the other end of the line, it's no good trying to negotiate any more money, that's for sure. So we'll see what happens, ending that quote right there, referring to that he doesn't necessarily have a clear picture, a clear line or path there of exactly what is going on with these kind of ongoing cutbacks with Disney, with Disney Plus specifically, and Boba Fett as an overall character here as well. So how will this affect Star Wars shows, just basing off of what TEMUERA Morrison here is saying? When TEMUERA Morrison talks about these quote-unquote cutbacks from Disney, he means financially. Obviously, if the company could afford to bring in all of these different actors and build the biggest and best set pieces, they would do it, of course, and they have done that previously before. But as the saying goes, money doesn't grow on trees. Even when you are a multi-billion-dollar company, Disney, it was heavily heavily rumored that then almost even confirmed that Temuera Morrison was set to make an appearance in Season 3 of The Mandalorian, as I had mentioned at the beginning of this video, but each episode came and went and the former bounty hunter never actually showed up. I even discussed it here a couple of times in a couple of videos here on the channel into the regards of different teases and almost just about confirmations that Boba Fett would appear in The Mandalorian Season 3. One of the art pieces and official posters from Lucasfilm had actually shown Boba Fett in them, so of course it would be a given that he would be showing up in it. However, of course, by the end of the season, that was one of my biggest disappointments with this overall past season, is that there was no Boba Fett. And so also previously mentioned, his absence could very well mean and be because that Disney wanted to save a little bit more money. Actors obviously have to get paid for their work, and even if it is a small appearance, a bigger name means a higher cost, and Temuera Morrison has been in the name of Star Wars ever since 2002, Attack of the Clones. It is also important to remember just how much content is coming out on both the MCU and Star Wars sides of things on Disney Plus each and every year, and how many different projects, both special presentations and also overall shows that they are rolling out, and that doesn't just stop on Disney Plus but also goes for theatrical releases. I know there aren't any Star Wars movies that are coming out this year, but there is going to be the Indiana Jones A Dial of Destiny movie, which does fall underneath that category of Lucasfilm and comes out of their budget. I'd also like to mention that if you are a Marvel fan, I have a Marvel channel linked in the description down below. Overall, the most unfortunate thing though, however, with all of this being said, is that this just does not look good for a potential Book of Boba Fett Season 2, something that a lot of Star Wars fans want. I was hoping, and I had my fingers crossed the entire time, all 4 of those days at Star Wars Celebration, that they would actually confirm it and announce to be in the works of some source in early development, or that it would be happening. However, there was nothing even actually ever said about that. And even then, I was very prominent on the idea of having Boba Fett show up in The Mandalorian Season 3, and for that to kind of segue off into having more set up for a second season for his show. Same thing for the Ahsoka show, but we never really saw either one of those. And so, in just the Star Wars brand alone, 2023 has already seen the release of The Mandalorian and The Bad Batch. Throughout the rest of the year, Ahsoka Season 2 of Visions and Skeleton Crew are all slated to be released, with many more projects like Andor Season 2 and The Acolyte currently filming and in production right now for next year. This whole budget cut thing and cutbacks though from Disney as well at the same time is something that's not necessarily new. That this article does mention is that Bob Iger a couple of months ago had mentioned that they are doing some cutbacks for Disney, taking away some employee jobs and cutting back on their projects and budgets overall, and really focusing on quality over quantity, of course, to a certain degree. But then at the same time, very similar to what we're seeing with other companies outside of entertainment, such as Meta or Apple, is that we're seeing employee cuts and people being laid off. And so from what those sources are saying is that that's just so that these companies are able to stay afloat and keep their head above water. And so just 1 or 2 series actually coming out each year, more money can be dedicated to each project, and that means that certain aspects like character cameos could happen more easily, although they aren't necessarily needed or anything like that, and really just fan service to a point. With that being said, more shows mean that money has to be distributed in a different way, and something like a cameo really isn't going to make much of a difference, as into the regards of people hearing that Boba Fett made an appearance in The Mandalorian Season 3, I have to go subscribe to Disney Plus right now so I can go watch it, isn't necessarily something in the aspect that Disney is all that much for, because how much of that is really going to balance out that. And so going forward and in the future, it will be for sure very interesting to see how other shows are going to be affected and handle these quote-unquote cutbacks into the regards of their budgeting. As for Temuera Morrison's return as Boba Fett, many fans will hope to see that he is able to come back at some point in the Disney Plus shows as Boba Fett. Of course, we did recently see him in The Mandalorian Season 3, though to a point, but not playing Boba Fett, but rather actually being the voice of the clone troopers in the flashbacks of Order 66. Fortunately, with all these news, as I had also mentioned, it's not looking good for a Season 2 of the Book of Boba Fett, but never say never. However, I do think that we are able to count that he will make an appearance in Dave Filoni's Mandoverse feature film. So that there being said, let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments down below. I would love to hear what you guys all think. What do you think about Boba Fett, Temuera Morrison, having him make an appearance in The Mandalorian Season 3, a Book of Boba Fett Season 2? I would love to hear what you guys all think. Of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one, guys. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.